Hello. All right. We're starting a little bit later than we normally do today, but we have something pretty new to look at. So to everyone enjoying the stream, I'm CJ. And today I'm mostly just going to be playing some games, but also talking about some of the new stuff that has come out since last week. So last time I streamed was last week on Monday. And PAX just happened in Boston, so I've been away for the past couple of days at our booth in the Boston convention. But it just ended yesterday, and I'm going to be looking at some of the things that have come out since the last time that we talked. So we have this new feature called Quick Match, and what Quick Match does is it just gets you a real-time game in any of the formats based on what other people are playing right now. So I'm just going to be doing some quick match games, and maybe I'll end up playing some constructed if people. I'll start building some decks or something if there seems to be a lot of people playing constructed. Otherwise, let's just get into it. And hi, Dan Thar. Let's discover me this past week. Yeah, honestly, it's really interesting watching new people get into the game. I'm hoping that as we will see people playing at different levels, since I know that the when you first start playing Epic, it's hard to figure out what to do and make the best plays. But I think after you play 10 games or so, you can look at a board state and think, all right, that person has more cards in hand or they're attacking with their gold up, and you can start to recognize when things are really looking good for one player. We also have a new feature. We have this tips. Yeah, Wolfspite's actually a really great card, but it's not that powerful. I mean, I should rephrase. It does a lot of things, and it's free, and it takes something out, a small champion, and it recycles. It's not as flashy as something like a Kong, like a 1 gold amazing card, but this card is just so good at answering your opponent's 0-cost champion that a pest, like a Muse or something like that, they play Muse and then you play Wolfspite, then you just get such a big advantage right away. Oh yeah. If you don't want to play constructed, if you don't have a constructed deck when you quick match for the first time, you won't actually play any constructed games. But yeah, I think it can definitely catch you by surprise if you just jump into a dark draft and you've never dark drafted before. Yeah. Alright. Well, looks like nobody's in the queue right now. I'm just going to start a 48-hour, probably dark draft. I mean, I can give it for a couple of game modes, and then I'm going to take my turn in some of these games. Oh. Alright. There are a couple people that I know that like to just play the 48-hour game modes much more than 24-hour, the real-time ones. So sometimes I'll see people picking those. They'll see the 48-hour queues to be much more active. All right, so I think that I'm gonna take this Fire Spirit here. I really like having champions that I can just spend my gold on my turn and feel really good about. So I think that's a nice core to have. None of these other cards are particularly amazing to me, so including Fire Spirit. I think that, in fact, I would almost consider all of these cards to be about equal in terms of how much I want them in a deck that is first pick, first back. But I most value the Tribute draw card on a big 1-cost card that's a threat, because I want to have something to do when it's my turn gold. I don't usually worry about having some way to spend about draw 2s or 0-cost cards in my decks, because I tend to draft those more aggressively. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely challenge me. I just type CJWWG. I'll start another quick match. Alright. But, yeah, I mean, it's okay if you're a beginner. Also, I think it can be interesting just to talk about what, I can talk about my perspective from my plays and your plays. Alright, I'm up against NY Larry. My turn. So it looks like I'm playing my constructed deck. I think this is the one that that I made last time on stream. So I'm going first, and looking at this hand, I don't have anything in my starting hand that I want to play on my turn. So I have this erase and this surprise attack are really good on my opponent's turn. So I'm just going to toss all 3 of these. I'm looking to find a good off-turn play, but I don't want to just empty my hand just to find one, because I could get a really awkward hand with a lot of 0 costs in them. So I'm going to pass without doing anything. If my opponent spends their gold here on my turn, then I have a really good erase. But unfortunately, based on my opening hand, it was weak, in my opinion, for me to just draw 2 cards, and that's all I can do here for my gold. So I'm passing. I think most opponents should almost definitely just start their turn in this situation. Alright, I'm going to take 5 from this Strafing Dragon. This is actually pretty good against me because I don't have a way to answer it. They showed that they have a Smash and Burn and a Draka's Enforcer. Erasing this kind of feels bad because they get their Strafing Dragon back, which deals 5 damage. And the other option is to Wave of Transformation to turn everything into a wolf token. So I think what I'll do here is I'm going to force Mage Apprentice and deal 2 damage to them. And then I'll play Erase to return my own Force Mage Apprentice to my hand, so that I don't give them that back. Alright, and they have Muse. That's okay, because we can just replay this Force Mage Apprentice. One of the tricky things about 0-cost champions with Blitz in Epic is that you can return them to your hand and then replay them in the same turn. Alright, so I'm being attacked for 6. I'm just going to take the 6 here. If my opponent decides to play the Smash and Burn, then I'll Wave Transformation to turn both of these into wolf tokens. Alright, and this is risky for me. I'm pretty low on health. But if I return that Strafing Dragon, alright, it's another Strafing Dragon. Draka's Enforcer and Smash and Burn being revealed here. Right now I'm taking a lot of damage. I think what I'm going to do, I don't really love Wave of Transformation here because it doesn't help me, doesn't put me in that good of a position. So I'm going to make a risky play and play Surprise Attack. Alright, and it paid off. Now the reason that I played that Surprise Attack was because normally that would be kind of risky because I could just hit nothing, right? If I put that Brachiosaurus into play, then I'll gain a gold and I can play the other Surprise Attack. So I really just wanted to find something in my 2 draws. And almost everything in my deck is a good response to my opponent attacking. I could get Misguide Herald, Strafing Dragon, Sea Titan returning it to their hand, and also just something like a Raging T-Rex drawing 2 cards would also be fine. So I had a lot of ways to be happy about that. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is attack for 9, and then that's going to deal 3 damage to the Strafing Dragon, and I'm just going to deal 2 damage to the Strafing Dragon right away. And the reason for this is if my opponent gets rid of my Force Mage Apprentice somehow, I can replay this other Force Mage Apprentice. But if not, then I can play the Juggernaut here. Reveal. No, I'm actually going to make a different play. Just because my opponent is playing a wild deck, and we know they have Smash and Burn and Draka's Enforcer in their hands, I don't think my opponent has a good way to deal with this Brachiosaurus. So I'm going to play Brachiosaurus, and then I'll surprise attack out my Juggernaut. I think these 2. And then I'm going to attack for 9. Now I'm making a very aggressive play here. Because basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of... Alright, my opponent's going to Ancient Chant. So we know that their other 2 cards are Draka's Enforcer and Smash and Burn. A lot of wild decks don't actually have good ways to deal with lots of champions on the board. And some of them end up playing things like Wave of Transformation. So you can kind of just flood a bunch of things and you don't have to worry as much. It's still kind of risky. My opponent could definitely have a Draka or a Pyrosaur, but I'm in a position where I can't really play around that. And I can't do anything about that, so I'm just going to have to let my opponent draw 2 cards. That's fine though. They have to deal with all this basically right now or kill me. So we're hoping that they can't do either of those things. Alright. I'm not going to block this. Alright, now see if they Smash and Burn that there, I would probably be very sad. Oh, Pyrosaur. Okay. That's very good for them. Even if they don't have loyalty, it kills. They do have loyalty because they have Draka's Enforcer and Smash and Burn. It kills this Juggernaut if they attack, and then I block with the Brachiosaurus and take out their Pyrosaur, but they have to attack because it deals so much damage to me. So I'm definitely going to block here. I'm not going to spend my gold yet, just in case they have a Rage or something. And the reason I want to not spend my gold is because it's harder for my opponent to... they would be less willing to play a 0-cost card that might actually kill me, like a Go Wild. So here I actually just win because I have Fire Shaman and Flame Strike. I have a bunch of ways to deal damage. The Fire Shaman deals 3 damage when you play a wild card. That's the game. Alright. Oh, I got a lot of challenges. Alright. But, who was it? New York and NY Lair, you'll be getting some gems for that game. That was a fast game, yeah. The dinosaurs are really great. I think that I'm really glad that dinosaurs exist as just an established thing that you play with and play against a lot because it's just fun to play with lots of dinosaurs. Alright, so this is a random 30 game. Now I'm going to talk about what the decisions I make when I'm playing random 30. So basically, when I'm playing random 30, usually I try to have a way to draw cards in my hand, and then also I want to find a way to spend my gold on every turn. So my opponent's going first. That means that I want to have a play on their turn, and ideally, I want to find a way to spend a gold on my turn and on my opponent's turn. So right now, this card is a draw 2, and Hurricane's a draw 2, and Vanishing is a draw 2. So I want to keep at least one of those. This Angel of Mercy could be really good if I had other champions that were good, but I don't. It's definitely going away. I don't want to keep this card because it has Recycle, which uses my discard pile. And since I don't have anything in my discard pile for a while, I'm going to toss this for sure. And then I think I'm going to keep the Hurricane, just because I like to have a way that sweeps the board. And I am going to keep the Vanishing over the Amnesia, because I think I'll use this first mode of Vanishing is more likely to be useful than the first mode of Amnesia. All right. It's not, yeah, Dan, it just so happened that we are both playing wild decks that are very aggressive, so one of us is definitely going down. All right. And so my opponent just mulliganed, they mulligan 2 cards. So in Epic, each card that you mulligan loses you a health. But especially if you are starting this game, I am going to tell you, mulligans you should just go for. Unless you have an absolutely perfect hand or a 5-card hand you'd be very happy with keeping, just definitely mulligan at least 1 card. The health loss isn't that big of a deal. So here, I could play this War Machine for my gold, but it's not actually that scary. I would say that the off-turn gold is probably worth more than than a 10-10. If you think of Lurking Giant, that's a 11-11. So I'm not going to play the War Machine because my opponent just passed on their first turn. And that means their hand is either very reactive or they have good off-turn plays. So in this situation, we're both kind of, this is actually pretty likely that we'll both pass until one of us gets to 8 cards in hand, which is reasonable. Or we get a good play that does something right away, like a tribute. Hi, Phoenix. Are you? Yeah, definitely. I think that's the best part. It's difficult in Epic because the whole game is about making an important decision each turn. It's not like you are just trying to make sure that you have a good mix of cards at different costs. Alright, so, and once again, I'm going to start my turn because if your opponent ever passes on their turn, unless you have a really good, and they still have their gold up, unless you have a really good reason, you should just start your turn. Alright, so here I have 8 cards in hand, so if I pass, then I'm going to discard down to 7. So I'm going to play something, and the reason is, imagine if this card also said draw a card on it, which is basically what I'm getting out of it because I'm not discarding a card. So I am going to play this War Machine here, and I don't get to banish any 0-cost champions, but I do have 2 other Sage cards to give this Blitz. So I will reveal those 2, which means it can attack right away. And I'm going to hide the vanishing because this trick of returning an opponent's champion to their hand is the card that I think is the safest, is the most powerful thing that I don't want my opponent to play around. So I'm going to reveal these other 2. And then this has Blitz, so it can attack right away. And I am going to make that attack. I think normally I would just pass instead of making the attack and see if my opponent wants to spend their gold before attacking. But I hold on to the vanishing. Because I have this vanishing, it'd be really hard for my opponent to punish me for attacking here. What's my favorite alignment? I think my favorite alignment mechanically, I just like a lot of, I like to draw a lot of cards and I like to interact with my opponent's stuff. So for that reason, I tend to like Evil and Sage. Alright, my opponent made a lot of humans. And in Epic, that means they're going to block one of my humans and then not take any damage. But that's fine. Alright, it's possible that we're going to get a lot of value out of this Hurricane right here. Dealing 9 damage to each champion targets really well with a 10 health champion. Alright, in Epic, champions heal back up at the end of a turn. So most of the time when you attack, your opponent will either not block and take the health, or they'll block with something where one thing survives and one thing dies. And that's almost always what happens. Yeah. But that's just I like interaction a lot. Some people really like, oh, let me turn the light on here. I just realized. I was looking at the screen there for a second. I realized that might help a little bit with the lighting. Alright. So this champion is unblockable, free card that whenever they play another blue card that costs 1, it goes back to their hand. It's kind of like an annoying pest. It can't be blocked, it just keeps hitting you. For the most part, you can ignore it. I think that it's usually wrong to try and deal with this card for your 1-cost card, unless you're getting really low on health. Because a big part about 0-cost cards in Epic is that they're frequently trying to force you to spend your gold first. And you see, I mean, I don't really have a good answer for that card in my hand. I don't have a card that kills that and gives me some kind of advantage. But here, I can. They spent their gold first, and now it's the perfect time for Hurricane. So if I were them, I would have probably attacked with my humans first before playing the Palace card, because this way you can see I'm going to take 5 less damage because I get to get rid of all champions right now. But if my opponent had attacked me with those 4 humans, or those 5 humans, then either I would have, oops, I didn't mean to click that next game button. I currently have a lot of games going. Let's go back to that. Alright. My opponent could have either hit me for 5 and I would have just not spent my gold and then played the Palace card and I'd be at 20. Or I could have played the Hurricane early and then they'd still have the Palace card in play. Yeah, great. Alright, I'm going to start my turn. And just so you know, whenever I play against people on stream, first game, I'm going to give you some gems after the game for everyone that plays against me. Just to encourage people to play even if they feel like, they don't really know what they're doing. I think that it's fun to play games where people feel like they're the underdog, but I know that it can be a little intimidating when it seems like you play a game of Dark Draft or something and you have no idea what you're picking. Alright, so it's my turn, and again, I'm in a situation where I don't really like a lot of what I have my options for my turn. I have a lot of really good off-turn things, so I'm just going to pass again. Sometimes in Epic you do a lot of passing, and that's fine. I mean, if my opponent had 2 cards in hand maybe, I'd be more aggressive. But with 5, and the fact that we spent a long time just kind of doing nothing, it's very likely that they have something like at least this draw to do on my turn if I don't really do anything. And I think that making that draw to right there was totally reasonable because I'm kind of, it's a tell. My opponent might be able to make a read on me that I don't really have a crazy play to make on my turn. So I'm going to play this Noble Unicorn, which draws a card, and then every other yellow card I play draws me another card. I really like this card because your opponent wants to get rid of it. Otherwise, it'll just draw you lots and lots of cards. And it's best used when your opponent's gold is down. Usually I prefer playing this card when my opponent just has passed on their turn with their gold down. Rather than a frantic digging. Just because that way I can spend my gold first on my turn and immediately get value out of it. Yeah, I mean, but going off of what you said, Orange, I think good is also a fine alignment, but it just doesn't do the crazy things, which I love doing, like bouncing everything, or Zombie Apocalypse is a really fun card of mine, where you break all champions and then both players get a zombie for every champion in their discard pile. I really like that card because it makes these crazy game states where one person has 5 zombie tokens and the other person has 10 zombie tokens, but also you can build your deck around it by having lots of cards that banish their champions and also playing more 0-cost champions, so cards like Guilt Demon, and then it's a card that gets stronger the later the game goes on. And I've seen people with, kind of these combo-y decks where they play a Drinker of Blood or I forget the name of it, Plague Zombies. Basically something that makes it so when the zombies die, they deal damage to the opponent to try and just finish them off in one turn. Alright, so the opponent took control of our champion. Now, the one weakness to taking control of the opponent's champion is it's really weak to having it being returned to hand. So on our turn, we're gonna play this Vanishing to return that Noble Unicorn to our hand. So I'm gonna play this Standard Bearer, and if I don't have any champions in play, I'm not planning on clearing the board, then I want to get champions out. If I have a few champions in play, then I usually want to make sure I have a big enough hand, and also like if I had both of these in play right now, I would spend my gold on Savage Uprising over playing another ambush champion, just because getting advantage that isn't weak to my opponent clearing the board is really powerful. It's kind of like hedging your bets against something like that Hurricane that I played. Alright, so it's our turn. So I'm going to play this Vanishing right now to return that to hand. I think it would also be totally reasonable to attack with 2 humans as a group, but I think if my opponent is playing smart, they might block both my humans with Noble Unicorn and then spend their gold to get rid of my Standard Bearer. And then if I play this Vanishing on their Noble Unicorn, then my humans are still blocked, so I don't do any damage to them. So yeah, basically this Vanishing here is so good that I might as well just do it right away. Alright, oh, an old spike. That's fine. Alright. And you'll notice that I frequently will make as many attacks as I can that are useful before spending my gold. And the reason for that is, or even for playing cards at all, the reason for that is I want as much information as possible. I want to give my opponent as little information as possible during my turn. So maybe I'm always going to play this Noble Unicorn, for example, but I don't want my opponent to know that. So I'm going to force them to act first, and they'll be in the dark a lot. So I have 2 cards in my discard pile, which means now I can start recycling. So this is the reason that I actually banished that Word of Summoning from earlier in the game. Let me see if I can scroll all the way up to it. Alright, I guess not. But recycle cards, you need cards in your discard pile. So I don't hold on to recycle cards that are in my opening hand unless they also have the option of drawing 2. Whenever I draw a card, this gets bigger. So it would be reasonable for me to draw more cards here, but I don't think I'm going to because I'm at 7. So if I drew 2, I'd go up to 8. And then I have to discard a card. I see. The opponent, alright, looks like the opponent's going to start their turn. I'm kind of expecting something that kills this. So like, I think my opponent is going to play like Blue Dragon maybe. Alright, a Winged Death. So I actually think that the Standard Bearer here is weaker than the Citadel Scholar. The Citadel Scholar is going to get much bigger. Every time we draw a card, it gets bigger. And we don't have a lot of good champions to gain advantage out of this. So I'm gonna get rid of my Standard Bearer. And this makes me choose a champion to get rid of whenever it is played, and also when it deals damage to me. But here we also have a good answer to put with Consume to deal 3 damage to a champion and gain 3 health. So I am going to play the Consume, and then I'm also going to immediately play a card that draws a card to make this bigger, in case they have a 0-cost card in their hand that can get rid of it. So in Epic, there's no opportunity for you to do something before your opponent's thing happens. So when my opponent attacks, I get the chance to play cards, and I can play as many cards as I want. I mean, with my 1 gold. Until I pass back, my opponent can't react to what I'm doing. So I'm going to play this Noble Unicorn. I'm also going to play this Consume to get rid of that. And the reason I played Noble Unicorn first was in case I drew a card off the top that was a better way to deal with that. I don't actually know what would be a better way to deal with that than Consume, but maybe it exists. Maybe I would get like a 3 offense airborne ambush champion. Alright. And then Art Board State is looking very favorable here. I'm going to draw a card. I'll have my gold, 7 cards in hand, 6 cards in my opponent's hand, and these 2 champions, which are both a threat. So normally, when I start with an Noble Unicorn in play on my turn, if I have a good card that costs a gold, I just play it to draw a lot of cards. But I don't want to do that here because I'm already at 7. So I'm just going to come in with the Noble Unicorn. I think that in a round of 30, this card can seem really scary because it can draw 2 or 3 cards, but it's actually not too often that you can draw a lot of cards with this. So if your opponent plays a Noble Unicorn, then it's okay to just not deal with it. Alright, so deal 6 to my opponent, and then I'm going to play this Blue Dragon. And the reason I'm playing the Blue Dragon before attacking is so that I can make my Citadel Scholar bigger. You'll see I like to use Battle Pass a lot, which is, I'll explain how to turn on Battle Pass after this match. But Battle Pass just means that you don't have to click pass every time for each step. If you can, it just immediately skips to that. If your opponent isn't doing anything, it won't do anything for you. So, this is just the Noble Unicorn and the Citadel Scholar would be enough of a board that I would probably not play the Blue Dragon. So, in general, I think if you have 2 threats, you don't need a 3rd one. But because I already had 7, I didn't really want to just... I didn't just want to draw 2 and then discard a card. Alright, I don't even pay attention. Corpsemonger and Gilded Demon. Alright. So they're going to banish something in my discard pile to gain 3 health. Looks like they banished the Blue Dragon. Alright, and they still have a Gilded Demon in their hand. So I'm going to play probably this Memory Spirit to get back the Consume. So let's do that. Now, what's really nice about Memory Spirit here is that it's an airborne champion, just like this Angel of Death, but it kind of contests this. So when it attacks, it can't be blocked by Angel of Death very easily, and it also stops that Guild Demon, which I did click quickly, so I'll show you what it does. But it's a 3 offense airborne champion, and every time it attacks, you get to banish a card in the opponent's discard pile. So if my opponent was thinking about playing the Guild Demon here, then it's a good thing that I got this Memory Spirit. So probably what's going to happen is they'll pass. I'll attack with this Memory Spirit, and then maybe play Bitten to break the zombie token, to break the Angel of Death and make a zombie token, and then play Consume to defeat the Corpsemonger. Alright, they are going to play Guild Demon. So we're going to see, maybe they have some kind of trick in their hand. I usually like to test my opponent unless I have played against them a lot, so I'm just going to assume that they don't have a trick, even though they might. But maybe they have a trick. Alright, they do have a trick. They're going to deal 2 damage to all champions and players. Now, I'm going to take advantage of this by just finishing off this Angel of Death with the deal 3 that we had from earlier. If I want to use the Bitten that I was going to use in the Angel of Death on the Corpsemonger, that's perfectly fine, but maybe I'll just happen to draw a good way to get rid of that. Corpsemonger. Alright. Very close to having a good way to deal with it. Let's see. I mean, you don't actually... This card isn't too big of a deal. I don't think I need to get rid of it right away. I mean, it's not... I don't think it's worth playing Bitten just to defeat it. But I don't actually really have anything good to spend my gold on right now. I'm just clicking around a lot here. So let's... Because my opponent only has 2 cards in hand, this is a position where I usually would just try and push my opponent. So I think I am just going to play the Spin. It is pretty weak of a play, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's perfectly fine. And I'm going to play this Corpse Taker and get back my Memory Spirit so that I have something to do on my opponent's turn if I want to add something to the board. Rob's Gaming Table. Well, I'm not sure exactly when they'll be added, but that's something that I'll be working on. Basically, starting this upcoming week. So, I mean, they are going to be implemented. Probably. I guess I don't want to say a date and then have that be wrong. So, they're coming. All right. one nice Corpse Taker is a pet card of mine. I think that it is a card that is definitely not something that is super powerful every time you play it. I mean, when you play it, you get back a 1-cost card from your discard pile to your hand, and then it's a human token, basically, that can also banish cards from opponent's discard piles. But I really like Corpse Taker because I also like using my discard pile a lot. Alright, so that's going to be the end of that. Looks like the opponent conceded. That was going to be, it was definitely a very grindy match, so I can understand where they're coming from. So I'm going to play, I'm going to take, it looks like Rob challenged me, so I'm going to take this challenge. If you would like to challenge me, how that goes is you just challenge and you just type in CJWWG, and you can challenge me to anything. Be that constructed or dark draft or random 30 or beginner, if you like beginner mode. But yeah, I'm gonna play this dark draft. All right, so this is pack 1, pick 1. Now, as far as dark drafting goes, in the first half of the dark draft, so maybe your first 15 picks out of 30, I like to just pick cards that I think are mostly good for my deck. So I don't worry too much about rounding it out. I pick things that are pretty safe. I'll probably want them in my deck. Make sure that you know that you have to play everything that you pick. And towards the second half of the draft, or maybe a little bit earlier, depending on what I pick, I might get pulled into a color as like my main color. So something like this is much better if you have other Sage cards because of the ally ability. So in this pack, what excites me is Angel of the Gate, because I like having ambush champions and I like having some amount of health gain. So this is both of those things. And Erratic Research, because it draws me cards and it does something else. So if a card, usually during the game, you're going to want to play a draw 2 at some point. So instead of playing a different card that has an effect, you can hold on to that and then play this. And then you also get to banish your opponent's discard pile. So if this is in your deck, your opponent will probably never win by drawing out all of their cards. Flashfire is also quite nice. It's a free card, and a lot of other free cards have 2 health, like things like Muse, and some 1-cost cards like Thought Plucker. But it also deals with a lot of tokens. So this card frequently won't do anything like Wolf's Bite, where you get to kill something for free and also gain an advantage. But it can get rid of multiple things. And having the option to draw 2, it's a very safe pick. So I think in general all 3 of these are very safe picks. And I would want them in any deck. I am most excited about Angel of the Gate and Flashfire though, because Erratic Research, I usually prefer to have cards in my hand that do something. This is the type of card that I would like to pick up maybe a little bit later in the draft if I'm missing draw 2s or ways to interact with my opponent's discard pile. So I think that a lot of people would take Flashfire here. Personally, I think I'm going to go with Angel of the Gate. I really like Angel of the Gate, and I think that that hopefully I can show off its potential in this dark draft. Flashfire is also definitely very good. I think that it's totally reasonable to take the Flashfire here as well. I'm going to take probably Raxa, because basically it's just 3 6 offense, 3 6 defense champions for 1 gold, so that's totally fine. And oh yeah. Alright, Danthar, don't worry. Nice Jedi answer. Alright, I'm gonna take probably the Raxa and the People's Champion. I think Feint's fine. I mean, it's really hard to get the second effect to give you some advantage. And Vital Mission is something that I'm not usually too excited to pick up, because I can't use it to draw 2 cards unless I can hit my own thing. And health gain matters a lot more in Epic than you might think at first. So I am going to take these 2. I'm not super excited about the People's Champion, but maybe we can get some kind of token synergy going. Alright, so from here, again, I think I don't want to take Medusa yet. I mean, I guess I could start going into Evil. I have the Raxa. It's kind of early. The Martial Law is pretty good. Banishing, it's a board wipe that you can play on your opponent's turn. The disadvantage of giving your opponent 4 humans usually isn't that bad. And then I also have Army of the Apocalypse, and is a card that you usually don't want to take unless you have a deck that you think can really work with it. I mean, it draws you 2 cards, so it's not the end of the world, but I think that you'd want to have that. You'd want to already have cards that work really well with this if you wanted to take that. And then the same thing goes for Inner Peace. It's a card that you'd want if you had a lot of good cards, and you were worried, you had an idea that your opponent was playing an aggressive deck. And Feeding Frenzy here is also pretty good, but I don't have anything that works super well with it, except for the fact that maybe having some human tokens and other ping effects is totally reasonable. So I think it's between these two, and I am kind of thinking about going into Evil. I personally like going Evil in Dark Draft a lot. I think it's underrated. People don't do it very often. And having Loyalty 2 on Raxa makes it a lot better. So yeah, let's do it. Let's go Evil. Hopefully we can have more of a straight line with what I'm trying to do right now. When I say straight line, I mean more of a linear deck plan instead of just picking up cards that I would consider to be good for my deck. I'm going to take Bodyguard here. Angelic Protector is a card that is just tough. I already have two ambush champions, and an ambush airborne champion, so I don't really want Angelic Protector in my deck right now. Alright, I'm going to take this, one of these 0-cost cards. Temporal Enforcer and Lara both require Loyalty 2, and the Risen is a card that I would be hard-pressed to take in most decks, because you're spending your gold for 3 zombies. And I know my opponent has a Flash Fire in their deck, almost definitely, because I passed them in on pack 1. So, given that I haven't seen too many wild cards, I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent was going into wilds. And when I say wild, I mean Loyalty 2 wild cards. So let's see if a Lightning Strike is any good against me. I don't have any draw 2s right now, so that's one thing that is a little scary about picking up a Citadel Scholar. But I think I am going to end up taking the Citadel Scholar. I like having Recycle. Yeah, I'll take the Citadel Scholar. It's kind of tough between these two. I think they're both pretty similar in terms of power level. Here I'm definitely going to take both of these. They're 0-cost cards that are solid in pretty much any deck, whereas Time Walker is hard to use without having Loyalty 2, and this card is something that can be easily answered with something that returns it to hand or banishes it or breaks it. So it's inconsistent. It's a risky card, basically. Alright. Let's see what we got. Alright, so here, I think that for me, it's between Ankylosaurus, Smash and Burn, and Erase. So Standard Bearer, I don't really have a lot of synergy for this bottom effect, which is really what you want if you're going to play this card. It's otherwise a Define card on its own. It's split up, so it's difficult to deal with all of it very efficiently, but no piece of it is overwhelmingly good. You're usually just going to get a couple of tiny things, basically. It's more of a weenie card. Ankylosaurus is a 0-cost card that is difficult to answer for 0. There's pretty much just one way, and that is Rax's Curse. You can also play it as a weak Triceratops by spending your gold. Smash and Burn is a card that draws you 2 and does something else, so when you see that, consider it. This card buffs something, so usually you have to spend your gold first, and that's what makes it a riskier card. But it works a lot better with Righteous or Airborne Champions because it's easier to get the damage through. Since I know my opponent is probably in Wild, that's just what I'm guessing based on the picks so far, I think that I'd be much more comfortable taking Smash and Burn here than I normally would. So I'm going to take the Smash and Burn just because I don't want to play against it. Alright, so here, I don't have any Board Clears right now. I mean, there's the Plague, so actually I do have that, but I think that Inheritance of the Meek will be very good in this deck because I have an unbanishable champion and multiple ways to make tokens. Right now there's 3 out of the 10. And then Ceasefire and Warrior Golem are both pretty reasonable picks. I am going to take Ceasefire here since I think it's very good against really when your opponent's playing lots of big champions that you frequently see in those kind of decks. So normally I would actually be picking the zero cost cards more higher, but I think that so far in these picks I've been much happier with these 1 cost cards in my deck than the 0 cost ones. Here I'm going to take the Brave Squire for sure. I'm not particularly excited about any of these, and the Brave Squire, it's very easy to get a lot of value out of this by just playing it and then blocking something with the human token, or you block something and it's either going to be an even trade or their champion's going to break your champion, and then you make your champion bigger and unkillable with the Brave Squire. Alright, so from here, I think I actually have a lot of good cards at this point. So Gold Dragon's not entirely unreasonable. I think that you don't really want many Blitz champions in your deck, but you definitely want one, because when your opponent spends their gold first, you want to be able to punish them. Otherwise, I think Reap and Sow is reasonable. I don't really need a ton of board wipes, and the making 4 zombie tokens is the side that I'm not happy about using, but I also am missing loyalty 2 for Medusa right now. I picked up this Medusa early, and so far I'm being punished by not having a lot of evil cards to go with it. I don't have the type of deck that can really pressure my opponent with Lightning Storm. So I think I'm not going to take the Lightning Storm here. It's probably going to be Gold Dragon and then either Reap and Sow or Resurrection. I think I'm going to go with the Reap and Sow. Mostly because I want... I'm fine with having another Break All effect, and maybe I can find some advantage out of the 4 zombies with Medusa. It is going to be weak to Flash Fire, which you passed early, unfortunately, but so far we're actually getting a lot of token effects, so maybe our opponent will use the Flash Fire early, and then we'll be fine with that. Alright, so here, I think that in this pack I would usually want the Fire Spirit or the Rescue Griffin. It's very difficult to win with Kark in a Dark Draft, and usually if you're in that position, then you can just win normally. Flame Strike, like I said, I'm not really the type of deck that is probably going to be able to win with Flame Strike early, and I don't like to go for that unless I feel like I have other burn cards to back it up. Rescue Griffin I find to be pretty solid in general. It's one of these cards that looks worse than it is, because frequently it's a 0 cost card that your opponent it'll stop an attack and then also hit your opponent for 3 every turn. So your opponent has to answer this in some way, and the 7 health is really big. Fire Spirit is also very good, and it's very scary to pass that to a wild deck, so I think I'm going to end up taking the Fire Spirit here, just because when my opponent plays Fire Spirit, then I don't know if I have many good ways to answer it. Alright, so here I'm going to take the Marcus, because I'm frequently going to get that loyalty 2, and I haven't seen any cards that make my opponent discard cards, so it's not that unreasonable that my opponent has picked some discard cards. And then here, between Roxas Enforcer and Frost Giant, I think I'm going to take the Roxas Enforcer, because I don't have many ways to deal with opponents' 0 cost champions aside from this Consume. So you can use it to clear things like a Muse, just by spending your gold, and then your opponent has to get rid of it at some point. And Frost Giant is a Blitz card, and I have 1 Blitz card in my deck right now. I don't know if I'll actually end up having a deck that can really take advantage of Frost Giant. It does work really well with Ceasefire, so it wouldn't be the most unreasonable thing here, but I am going to take the Roxas Enforcer. Alright, here, so I'm not super happy about passing Pyrosaur, but also I think that it would be pretty unplayable in my deck without the loyalty 2, so I'm not going to take that. Probably going to take the Gudgeon, because it is a nice on-turn play, and right now I just have Raxa for that, and the People's Champion, and Fire Spirit. So I have 3 cards in my deck that are good on-turn plays. I could definitely use another one. Keeper of Secrets is also reasonable, as it banishes cards from my opponent's discard pile, and right now I have no way to interact with my opponent's discard pile, so I'd definitely be very happy to see at least one of these effects, but because Gudgeon is just extremely good in my deck, I'm just going to hope that I end up getting some other kind of discard pile interaction, or that my opponent isn't doing something with their discard pile that is really powerful against me. So here, I definitely want some removal. I don't have very much single target removal in my deck. I got Medusa, and then that's it. So I might actually even want this Banishment, even though the Arcane Research is extremely powerful. I am going to take the Arcane Research though. Just because I don't have very many things that use my discard pile, I have 3 Recycles, Plague, Word of Summoning, and Citadel Scholar. So overall, I'd actually say I don't have many Recycles. And the Arcane Research will frequently dig for 5. Alright, so here I'm definitely going to take the Angel of Death because it's just so powerful when you Angel of Death and reveal 2 evil cards. And I want more evil cards to go with my other evil cards. I think Frantic Digging and Go Wild are also very good. I'm getting a lot of packs here that are definitely fringe in the sense that here I'm not actually sure which pick would be best across these 3. So yeah, maybe I'm making the wrong choice, but I think the Angel of Death is what I would pick here. It's just so powerful when you play Angel of Death and you clear your opponent's board and then you put a threat on the board. Alright, so between No Escape and Secret Legion, they're actually somewhat close in my opinion because No Escape is just in a vacuum because they both draw you 2 cards and the effect is something that situationally has a lot of value, but most of the time will be kind of hard to use. I'm definitely taking No Escape because I want more removal and because it is an evil card, which will go with many of the evil 2 loyalties I picked up. And then between Forked Lightning, Tri-Horror, and Secret Legion, I think Forked Lightning is actually somewhat reasonable because you'll usually be removing something with this and getting some other advantage. So even though burning my opponent out, I don't think it would be very likely. Being able to kill 2 small things or kill 1 small thing and hit my opponent is a pretty nice play when you don't have a lot of off-turn removal. Let's see, I'm just trying to figure out how many draw 2s I have. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you include Plague, so I definitely want more of those. Or I guess 6 if you include the Gudgeon. So maybe it's Secret Legion. I'm trying to figure out if it's Secret Legion or Tri-Horror or Forked Lightning. I don't really want to take Tri-Horror because my opponent I think has picked up Erase, and it's also just a card that isn't something that I'm very happy to play in general. Like if I play it, it's a risky card just like Burning Worm. Yeah, between Secret Legion and Forked Lightning, I don't have very many draw 2s, so I think I want to take Secret Legion here. It also works well with Inheritance of the Meek, so maybe we can get some kind of token synergy going. Forked Lightning is actually totally reasonable as well, but I'm going to take the Secret Legion here. Alright, in this pack, what I want are probably Watchful Gargoyle and Ancient Chant, so I don't have very many recycles, so I think I'm going to take the Watchful Gargoyle. In Misguided Herald, I don't have enough champions in my opinion, and the Den Mother is also a pretty good pick, but it's not something that is amazing, and also my opponent, if I play Den Mother and my opponent plays Flashfire, then I'll be sad. So here, let's see. Here I'm probably going to take Handsome Blow and Avenging Angel. I think Plague Zombies is hard to use. I don't have a lot of zombie cards to go with it, and Soul Hunter is also a card that is hard to use. Given that I haven't really seen very much discard pile banishment, so I assume my opponent has it in their deck. So I don't want to play that and then get ruined by some discard pile banishment. Alright, House Guard is a great card, and so is Flame Spike. So those are the 2 that I'm looking at right now. It's probably going to be Flame Spike. I don't have very many ways to get rid of my opponent's 0-cost small champions. I have Consume and Rex's Enforcer. So I'm going to take the Flame Spike here, even though the Palace Guard is definitely a very good card. It also might just get lucky and the Palace Guard won't be able to hit my People's Champion. Alright, and then we got very lucky here with the Necromancer Lord. It's very good in our deck. And then Lesson Learned or Little Devil. It's probably going to be Lesson Learned because we have so many good hits for it, even though Little Devil is a great card. And it's a good way to antagonize our opponent. I'm trying to figure out how many on-turn plays we have. So we have Raxa, People's Champion, Gold Dragon, the Gudgeon, Rax's Enforcer, Fire Spirit, Avenging Angel. So we actually have a good amount of ways to punish our opponent if we play Little Devil and attack. We also have some great events that we might want to lesson learned. I think I'm going to take the Little Devil here. We don't have very many zero cost cards. As much as I want to take the lesson learned, we don't have that many zero cost cards, so I don't want my hand to get gummed up with one cost cards. And I think that given that we at least have Gold Dragon and Avenging Angel, we'll be able to punish the opponent for spending their gold first pretty frequently. Alright, and of course having the extra evil card is nice because we ended up with a lot of Evil Loyalty 2 cards in the second half of the draft. So overall, this dark draft was a little interesting. I can't say that I really ended up going in a direction that I was committed in. I am happy with the way it turned out, mostly because I have Necromancer Lord, Medusa, Angel of Death, and a heaping of other evil cards that interact with my opponent in my deck. So I have a lot of synergy there. And I also have Inheritance of the Meek, and which interacts really well with a lot of the incidental token generation that our deck generates, and 2 Righteous Punishers. So I'll frequently be able to get in with this or Avenging Angel if my opponent spends their gold first on my turn. So overall, I'd say I didn't really think this deck was going to come together. I had a lot of interesting decisions, but at the end of it, I'm actually very happy with where it is. So I'm going to get rid of this Recycle. This is going to be the card I'm going to spend my gold on my turn almost definitely. So now I'm looking at what I want to do on my opponent's turn, and then also my next turn. So in my opponent's turn, I'm happy to have this Angel of the Gate in my hand as an ambush champion that I can play on their turn. I mean, that's what an ambush champion is, but if they somehow clear the board, then I can play this. And then the question is, do I want Ceasefire and Smash and Burn? I mean, I probably don't need both of them, but I'm not sure what I'd want to have in my hand over them. So I think I'm just going to keep the rest. I'll play this Raxa and make 2 demons and pass. Super happy with this. Alright, my opponent plays Erratic Research. You notice that here it's just a draw 2. So I think, I'm not trying to remember what I took over Erratic Research. It may have been Araxa. So I'm happier that I have the Araxa here than the Erratic Research. Could be wrong. Let me look at my deck here and see if I can remember. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I definitely do remember. Alright, so my opponent's going to play Silver Dragon and banish 3 of my things. 3 of my tokens. So both of these demons are going to get out of here. A little sad. But not the end of the world. The question is, do I want to play Angel of the Gate or not? I think I might do something really crazy. Man. I lost my voice at the con. Oh man. I'm giving a lot of demos. Alright, so I think I'm going to play this Angel of the Gate. And then, on my turn, we're going to make a crazy play and see if it works out. Place Angel of the Gate, and on my turn I'm going to attack with both of these as a group. And then, if my opponent spends their gold first to remove one of them, I can smash them in the other. Okay, they're going to play Feeding Frenzy to kill that. The only reason I knew that is because the lash, it doesn't make sense to lash that champion unless you're going to Feeding Frenzy. That's alright. I am going to attack with this, and then after blocks play Smash and Burn. And we'll see if that works. Hopefully it does. I get punished by pretty much just go wild, I think, would be the main punish. My opponent could have some kind of answer to this, but if they, erase it or something, I'm perfectly happy with that. But we'll see if this Smash and Burn pays off. It's definitely a scary card to play because you have to spend your gold first, and you're not getting a ton of advantage out of it. Yeah, alright, I'll give my Araxa back to my hand. That is perfectly fine. I pass. Now we have a great hand for this, because what's going to happen is my opponent's going to attack for 9, and then I'll play Ceasefire so they can't attack more. this turn, and then also Watchful Gargoyle, recycling away the 2 cards that aren't Smash and Burn because it has an ability to discard pile. That'll block the Silver Dragon, and then they can't spend their gold first in a way that can attack because Ceasefire was played. And if they decide to develop on the board, which is likely because it's their turn golds, then on my turn I can play the Reaper to break all champions. Alright, unfortunately they banished my discard pile, so that was not good. One thing that is sad is we don't have any way to banish their discard pile in our entire deck. I did get pretty greedy. I do sometimes do that. Alright, they're going to play Feeding Frenzy. That's fine. Hopefully they attack with this Memory Spirit first. That would be the best case scenario for us. Because that means the Ceasefire will get in. Will prevent the 9 offense from hitting. But they didn't, so that's fine. We're going to play the Ceasefire anyway. And then I don't think I want to play the Watchful Gargoyle as a gain 9 for 0. Yeah, I mean, it would be the craziest thing in the world. Basically, I'd be playing this as a gain 9 health, just not recycling because it would be blocking that instead of just taking the 9. But that being said, I think forcing my opponent to spend a resource on it is usually pretty powerful as well. And with this Brave Squire in hand, I kind of just want to let it happen. And hopefully I can get more value out of the Watchful Gargoyle than just gaining 9. I would say that in this position, I'm behind right now. Not necessarily going to win or lose, but here I'm going to take 9, so I'll be at less health. I won't. I'm going to have to spend my gold first on my turn. So, if I had Angel of Death here, Angel of Death would be amazing. So this is a really good highlight of why I think Angel of Death is a very good card to have in your deck if you have a lot of evil cards. So we're going to break all champions. Now our opponent has a Feeding Frenzy in their hand, which means that we should play around that. That's the one that breaks a champion if it's taking damage this turn. So it breaks target damage champion, basically. Now, I could place level double and get in for 4, almost definitely. It's a little risky because I would probably want to get the loyalty 2 for the Necromancer Lord and the Raxa, so I'm just going to pass. Now, we don't have a great hand for this situation. Hopefully, when I play this Watchful Gargoyle to recycle, which I'll almost definitely do when my opponent passes, then I can draw better off-turn play. But as it stands, right now we're going to be Secret Legioning. I'm not sure what the Secret Legion will be for. Either to draw 2 cards or to make 6 humans. My opponent is at 8 cards, so they definitely are going to want to spend their gold first. And they don't have an obvious play to make, so that makes me think that they have something like a Triceratops in hand or a lot of reactive cards like a Palace card. Yep. And a draw card. That's fine. I'm going to play this Watchful Gargoyle and recycle. And then I have a really cool play that I can make, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to play this Inner Demon to break target champion. The player's turn is puts a demon token into play. So I think what I'm going to do, almost definitely, is Inner Demon that, and then on my turn, Necromancer Lord to get Silver Dragon to banish the demon token. Now, one alternate play that I have, my opponent hasn't played Erase yet, so it might be a little risky. To do that, it might make more sense for me to play the Secret Legion and make 6 humans, just so I can figure out if my opponent has something that deals small damage, maybe I can get out whatever answer they have to Necromancer Lord by just playing the 6 human tokens. Let's see, if I do that, then let's say I play Secret Legion for 6 humans. On my turn I can attack, and then probably Inner Demon that and make a demon token for myself. Let's see, what happens if I make 6 humans, they pass, I get in for 2, and then attack. Yeah, and then I guess I probably end up passing. Okay, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll probably just make the 6 humans then. talk myself into it. I want to try and, if they have a flash fire, my guess is right now in my opponent's hand, there's a flash fire sitting. So hopefully when I do this, my opponent will play flash fire. That's the main reason I'm playing a Secret Legion for 6 humans here. My opponent wants to play cards, they don't have to discard a card. Oh, they have Cave Troll. That is alright. So we're just going to attack them for 2 and then probably play this Fire Spirit as a... since we don't want to play this Inner Demon on our turn, if it means that we won't have an option to play. The other option would be to reanimate one of these 2 things with Necromancer Lord. Are they going to gain control of the Watchful Gargoyle? Alright. Sure. Totally fine. Alright, so we have Flame Spike, which is nice because... so I was actually correct. My opponent was playing a mostly wild deck. And I only guessed that because I didn't see any really good payoff cards in wilds the entire draft. So things like Raging T-Rex, Hunting Raptors, or any of the other Loyalty 2 wild cards. I don't think I saw a single one. And I definitely did see a Brachiosaurus pass to me. But that's I think the only... and a Worm, the Zero Cost 4/4 that has Ally ability, but no Loyalty 2 cards. Alright, so let's see this. I think I want to hold into this Flame Spike because my opponent is planning on playing Flash Fire. So I think the play is Raxa and deals damage to my opponent's stuff. I wonder if I can get my opponent to block with their Cave Troll. Let's see what happens when I attack for 1. Oh, that was easy. All right, we're gonna deal 2 damage to each opposing champion to kill off that Cave Troll. All right, we're gonna reveal. We're not gonna reveal the Necromancer Lord. And then I'll just pass. Hopefully, I think the thing that would really blow me out here would be Hurricane. See, 9 on that would be... I don't play another Unicorn, that's A-okay. So if I have 5 humans and I swing them with all 5 as a group, and then I Brave Squire, that would be 10. Which would not take that out, it would leave it at 3. Flame Spike wouldn't take it out either. It probably makes sense to attack with some combination of these human tokens here, so I am going to start attacking with human tokens. Hopefully my opponent blocks with Noble Unicorn here, and I can Brave Squire to take down the Noble Unicorn. That's what the plan is. These games definitely, the one thing about the non-clocked games is that me personally, I tend to be a person that that takes longer on my turn when I have the ability to. So I'm just going to get in with all my humans. I'm not going to play around anything crazy here. I'm just going to deal damage and force my opponent to lose some health here. Alright, that sounds good. So now I can get that 5 extra and kill off that Noble Unicorn. I'm going to hit him for another one, might as well. Alright, and then I am going to Flame Spike this right now because I get it finishes it off. So the reason I didn't do this earlier was I needed another card in my discard pile to recycle. Alright, and then we're good. I guess actually, maybe I didn't need another card to recycle because the Watchful Gargoyle would go there after taking 2 damage. I'm not sure. I wasn't thinking about the fact that I was the one who controlled the Watchful Gargoyle. Alright, so we have a lot of things in play. See if my opponent blows me out with, I don't know, Raxus, or Dracus Fire, or Pyrosaur. Those 2 cards would be amazing. Oh, that one would also be very good. Alright, so for every green card they reveal, I take a damage, and so do all my champions. So hopefully they don't reveal 6. If they reveal 4, then they can also use their Feeding Frenzy. 2, 3, 4. Alright. And that Feeding Frenzy can kill off this Raxa, and then also these other 2 die because they're not getting +2 attack anymore. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. My opponent is going to play that, well, either Flash Fire or Lightning Strike or Feeding Frenzy to kill this Rexa. And then, alright, Flash Fire, that's fine. And then when they attack with this, I'm just going to Inner Demon it. It's a little sad because I won't have a way to draw cards in my hand anymore, but I think it's a necessary play here since I'm at 14 and that's going to be attacking me for 13. So we're going to do that. And then on our turn, we're going to Necromancer Lord. Probably for Silver Dragon. Maybe we could do a different card. Ooh, Avenging Angel. That one is definitely risky. All right, we're gonna try. This will be our way of getting back into this game here because whenever it attacks, the opponent can't attack back until they get rid of it. So when you can get in with that a lot, it can just completely take control of the game. So we have a couple of options here. I could either, I am probably just gonna get the Silver Dragon to banish that, and then also have a big blocker. Could also take the Memory Spirit or the Mythic Monster. But I definitely want to draw a card, so it's got to be Silver Dragon or, I mean, I guess all three of those draw a card. Yeah. There's not really a reason to get Memory Spirit here, except for the fact that I don't have an off-turn play. That is a pretty good reason. Yep. Let's see what we could draw. So we have these 6. So as far as draw twos go, I can get off-turn plays. I get Medusa, Inherence the Meek, No Escape, Arcane Research, Plague, Reaper. Sorry, we already Reaper says banished. So Plague. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 6 if you count this because you'd recycle. I mean this because you'd recycle with it. So about less than half of the draws would give us an off-turn play. So I think we kind of have to take the Memory Spirit. I'm not sure if we win if we Memory Spirit and then on the opponent's turn we have to Inner Demon or Flame Spike. Because the Memory Spirit might block the Demon token, but it gets Lightning Striked. So there's no way that this can be a good play for us to choose. I just don't think that we'd be able to actually win. So I think it has to be Silver Dragon or Mythic Monster. So Silver Dragon kills the Demon token. Mythic Monster contests the 11/11. And they probably have to Feeding Frenzy it. But either way, it's going to be weak to erase. I think I'm going to go with the Silver Dragon because I think my opponent has a hard answer in their hand. I'm going to play this. So I'm just going to assume that the Silver Dragon is going to go away. So that's why I'm choosing it. Alright, so I think we're in a very bad spot here. And the reason is, I don't have anything to send my gold on my opponent's turn. But we're going to see if we can pull it off anyway. Like the worst thing that our opponent could do to us would be erase right now. Feeding Frenzy to draw 2 is actually probably good for us. Unless they have Vanishing, then it's very bad for us. Since Vanishing, basically whenever you use your opponent's stuff, the worst thing they can do is bounce it. Alright, our opponent's going to start. I may have wanted to play a Little Devil there and just not attack with it. I think that was a mistake. But that's alright. Since we have to block this 11/11 for sure, or we just lose. So if they remove this, then I think we're out of the game. Like, what almost is definitely going to happen is this K Troll is going to attack, and then we're going to have a very hard decision to make, which almost definitely involves consuming it. With this consume. Alright, well, I think that's good. Because then we can see, alright, that is good. So now it's safe to take the 5. We can consume that. It'd be very hard for us opponents to kill us from here. They have to have Strafing Dragon, basically. Or they have to be willing to spend their gold first. see. Are they going to keep their secrets? No, they're going to vanish. Maybe their own Ancient of Chant, draw a card. Or I guess they're planning on playing a Sage card, so they want to recycle with it. This card is very interesting. So you can banish cards with it, and also if you play a Sage card while it's in play, then you get to recycle. Alright, they're going to play Juggernaut, which is going to make me sad. They get to draw a lot of cards. So they recycled, and they also drew a card by using the Loyalty 2 to draw a card. So here what's going to happen is we're going to consume that and then take 9. And then probably lose to Lightning Storm or Flame Strike. But we're going to see. So I'm going to take 9 here. I don't think my opponent can kill me before my turn starts, but I think they're going to Lightning Strike this Necromancer Lord so we don't get to reanimate anything. Let's see. On the bright side, this Rax's Enforcer is going to get so much value by completely clearing their board. Yeah, it's not going to matter though. Blue, yep, they're going to get it for 2. We are not going to block. Let's see. Oh, they might just have Go Wilds here, which would also get us. A Wolf's Companion. But I don't think they have Wolf's Companion in the deck, because they would have had to first pick it. Oh, we didn't see it in the draft. They don't have Flame Spike. They could Fireball. Well, they can't Fireball because they would have used it already. They could Force Mage Apprentice it. What were the 2 cards they showed for loyalty? Misguiding Alara. I think the chance that they Force Mage Apprentice is actually pretty high right now. We'll see. Alright, and that's going to be game. Definitely should have played this Little Devil and not attacked with it. I completely forgot. I just clicked pass without thinking. And that'll be the game. Alright. That was a very good game, Rob. Let's see. So, I guess, what time is it? Alright. I might play some of this game with Alira, but I'm probably going to be ending pretty soon. Both of those games are very long. And then I'll be giving some gems to Alira and Rob. So Rob challenged me to that game. Alright, well I'll take my turn here. Hold on. Gargoyle and... we took the Fire Spirit already. We passed those 4. Anti-Spire. Well, let me just see if Alira's on first, since I was already started a game with them first. Alright, so Fire Spirit, I took Fire Spirit, watch the Gargoyle, Ceasefire. Probably makes sense to take Second Wind here as a recycle card that gives health. Could take most of these other cards. I think Warrior Golem and Plague are also reasonable. Plague has a way to, it's just a draw, it's either a board clear or it's a draw 2 that deals damage to a lot of small things. So you can take out 1 health things like Necromancer Lord pretty easily with that. Or I could take that Warrior Golem. But I do like Second Wind a lot. I think that it really helps you stabilize in a game where you have been behind. And taking a lot of cards with the same alignment can really set you up to start picking the cards that care about that alignment a lot. Alright, let's see. Alright, well he's saying he's challenging me to construct it. So let's see what we have here. We do some silly decks that I've been experimenting with. I mean, we can just play, I think I have more of a mid-range deck that I'll play with. We did play with the Wilds with the more aggressive deck, so I think it'd be good to try something that's a little bit different. This deck is grindier, so basically just it has a lot of champions that are annoying to deal with and cards that give you value over the course of the game, and then just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. So it slowly accumulates threats while also being able to gain health back, and it plays a lot of efficient answers, while also having some cute synergies that doing things like you Misguiding Heralding into a Sea Titan, so the Sea Titan returns the Misguided Herald to your hand, things like that. Alright, so it's the opponent's going first, so we're going to keep the surprise attack and the Angel of the Gate and the Sea Titan, and we also want to keep the erase. So we're just going to toss the Priestess Evangeline because that's recycle. The reason I'm keeping all of these is because Angel of the Gate is a good off-turn play, so it's erase as an answer to certain cards like that. And Sea Titan is nice because we can just bounce something like this. So what I'm going to do here is probably just surprise attack the Sea Titan now. I mean, erase is also a really fantastic play here. But we don't have a good on-turn play to follow it up. So I think it's just going to be Sea Titan, just because it's just so much pressure. And that really punishes our opponent for playing Thunderous. Now I think Thunderous is a card that is very poorly valued by a lot of players. Alright, so this is fine. One of the human tokens is going to block this, and then we can play Silver Dragon to draw a card and banish the other one. I think Erase, I would almost normally play Erase in this position, but the reason I'm going to play Silver Dragon is because I want to erase the Thunderous when it comes down again. And we also just happen to have a great follow-up to if my opponent plays Banish All, which they probably will on their turn. But this erase, bouncing the opponent's Thunderous is going to be the main way this deck actually keeps it off the table. So I don't want to use my bounce on other targets when using it on the Thunderous is probably going to be essential. So my opponent is probably going to play a Banish All here, like a Divine Judgment or Martial Law, or maybe Inheritance of the Meek. And then I'll play Angel of the Gate. Maybe they'll play Thunderous again, and I can play this erase. Alright, I think Thunderous is a card that is difficult to rate because new players think it is much better than it is, and players that have played for a long time think it is much worse than it is. I'm going to Drain Essence this. It's a perfect target for Drain Essence. Now, unfortunately, if I attack here and my opponent plays Watchful Gargoyle, then I'm just going to have that happen. They're going to play White Dragon. Pretty close to Watchful Gargoyle in this context. I guess they're playing some kind of Thunderous synergy deck, because this is a dragon that would get boosted by that. Alright, they're playing a lot of things. They're also playing this in case I can get rid of their White Dragon. So this tells me that they don't have a good off-turn way to deal with Sea Titan if I were to somehow remove both of these. But I'm not going to do that because I don't have a good way to do that in my hand. I'm going to play this Priestess Evangeline first, just in case I do draw a card that gets rid of both of these. Although I'm not sure what that would be. I guess Rocket Spire would do that. So let's just go ahead and see. Alright, we're going to get it for... we're going to take up that Priest of Kalinor. And we're going to pass. Now, I mean, my opponent might be unlucky and just not have good off-turn play right now, but I'm not going to risk it by overextending onto the board. Another interesting play here would be erasing this Priestess Evangeline. But again, I really do want to use that erase on the Thunderous if possible. So I guess it's going to be Noble Unicorn to draw a card and gain 3 health. This should tell my opponent that my hand is full of off-turn plays, at least. Because I'm playing this off-turn play on my turn, so I don't have good on-turn play to play on my turn. Now if my opponent attacks here for 5, I just have to take it, because they're probably going to banish all champions. Or they're going to Priestess Evangeline, so it looks like they're digging. What I mean when I say digging is they're looking for a card that actually gets rid of the situation. So they're going to attack for 5. Oh, they're going to play Thunderous. Sounds good to me. I can erase it. And then we're just going to take this 5 here. E5 is not threatening. Now, what I was saying about Thunderous is that I've seen a lot of players that have been playing for a while have started cutting bounce effects like Erase from their deck, which means that Thunderous has been getting a lot better in general. There are still some decks that like to play things like Erase. I mean, I don't think that Erase is a bad card. It's just that if you want to be as offensive as possible, it doesn't help you with that game plan. I'm going to play a Revolt to deal 2 extra damage to me. That's fine. This 3/1 could attack, but I don't know. I think I would probably block with Priestess Evangeline if they did do that. Alright, so the reason I would block with Priestess is because if they made that attack, I would assume they had some other kind of buff, like a Brave Squire, so I wouldn't want to block with Noble Unicorn. But they could also just be bluffing really well. Alright, so in this situation, my hand has started to get clogged with weird stuff. These 2 things are cycle. I mean, these 2 are cycle, and this you get the champion back from the discard pile. So right now, I want more things in the discard pile. So I'm just going to attack for 11, even though it's just going to get blocked by the human token. And then I'll attack with this Noble Unicorn. So my opponent doesn't have Brave Squire because they didn't attack with that 3/1 last turn. And then if they block with this, I'll get it for 1. Alright, so I'm going to Temporal Shift that. So I banish a card in my hand. And so I'm going to play the Gudgeon this turn for my gold. And that's going to bring me from 7 up to 9. So I could get rid of one of these second wins, or I could get one of these Noble Unicorns. I think I'm going to get rid of one of the Noble Unicorns. I think it's going to be hard for these second wins to be unusable. But hopefully I don't get punished. And then what I'm going to do is afterwards attack with this Priestess Evangeline. And then they're going to block with their Priestess Evangeline, and I'll brand it. I'll reveal this Noble Unicorn, which they will probably assume is, oh, they're not going to. I mean, that's fine. I don't need to brand it. We'll save the brand as a surprise blocker. Then I'll play the Gudgeon here and just discard something. I might just play second wind without. Alright, so I don't think I need 2 Corpse Takers. So I'll probably I'll just second wind without recycling. And pass. Instead of discarding a card. I could also second wind these second winds here. I mean these 2 cards. Ooh. Okay, now I am going to, just in case they get Flash Fire off the top. Because I want to deal with that Muse. Alright, I did not. So, my opponent's going to draw 2 cards here. We're just gonna wail on each other. Very, very lightly. Seems to be the game plan right now. Yeah, one thing about untimed matches is that if you and your opponent don't mind spending a lot of time to think and talk about your plays, then they can definitely take a while. And I do like the chess clock style because I tend to spend a lot of time on certain turns and make very quick plays on the rest of the turns, so it really allows me to just play at my pace and then think when I want to think, without actually having the games go really long. So I still has Thunderous in hand. They'll probably try playing it again and gain 3 health and then get in for 10 with this White Dragon. And we will take the 10 on the White Dragon. And then drop a Angel of the Gate probably. Gain 3 health ourselves. It's kind of funny, we're actually playing what appear to be pretty similar decks. Alright, they're going to attack for 2. I could definitely get greedy and play this Angel of the Gate. I don't think I will. Let them hit me for 2. We're in this weird position where both of us have a lot of cards in our hand, but alright, yep, they're going to play that Thunderous, gain 3 health, and attack for 10. I'm going to take the 10. I'm going to play this Angel of the Gate. gain 3 off of the Priestess Evangeline, and then gain 5 when my turn starts. And then here, I'll attack with the Gudgeon. It's unblockable, so they'll have to react or take 2. And then I'm almost definitely going to Sea Titan that Thunderous again. Just keep returning it to hand. Maybe I can coordinate a play where I like Brand or something to get rid of it. So that would be 6 extra attack plus 3. Yeah, I wouldn't really do it. I could group attack Sea Titan and Priestess Evangeline. No, let's just Sea Titan it. I'm just being ridiculous here. Alright. Alright. Goodbye, Thunderous, and I'll attack for 11. It'd be really hard for my opponent to punish me for attacking with Sea Titan here. Since, at the end of the day, they could just do anything after, if I didn't attack. When I say punish, what I mean is, if I didn't decide not to attack and I just passed to them, they would probably spend their gold and then I could attack. Alright, I'll take that one out. I'm just going to gain 13 here. I wonder if they're trying to win with card. Might not be able to actually pressure them enough. I'm talking with this Priestess Evangeline. My guess is they have something like a haste retreat. They're going to plan on using that on this. So I think I want to probably buff one of these. Since the inner piece there felt a little bit weird. It feels like they're going to Kark right now. So I am going to increase the offense of this attack. Just because if they're calculating Xaxes, then I don't want to lose to that. Let's just reveal not our free card. Wait for 4 here. And then we're going to attack for 7. Probably they'll both get in. Maybe my opponent is going to haste retreat the Angel Gate or something. I'm not sure why they didn't, why they spent their gold immediately. Okay. Interesting, they're looking for a way to get rid of it. They didn't draw it. So maybe I do this again. I'm not really convinced. They're probably just going to clear the board. Alright, and now we're going to pass. The fact that none of my stuff is dying is definitely making these Corpse Takers awkward. But, if they clear the board, Noble Unicorn will draw us a card, and then Palace Card will probably draw us another card. But, we're going to see. Me not being able to deal with that Musadol has been... Oh, yeah, it looks like they're just going to win. Should have played another Brand. Now, a deck like this is really great against another evil deck. I mean, not an evil deck, a wild deck. But it does struggle to put enough pressure on decks that are trying to win off of Kark. Alright, and the way the Kark works is if you have 60 health after playing it, then you win. So, that'll be the game. That's going to be the last game of the night. So, I'm going to be off the stream. Good games. And I'm going to be giving some gems to Rob. I'm not going to, that person. And NY Larry. Alright. That's just replaying the game. End of the game there. Alright. So, good night. And I'll see you all on Wednesday.